Heavy thumps against the door caused Jerrell to stir. He blinked and pressed his palm against his forehead. It pounded in time with the beat of his heart. His jaw was sore, his knuckles bruised with raw flesh visible. "Landish!" a woman's voice called from beyond the door. "Get up! Now!" "What does she want this time?" he muttered to himself before sitting up and peering around the room through bleary eyes. A sliver of daylight shone through a narrow gap in the curtains. The sunbeam formed a bright stripe on the closed door. The room was a modest size, with a table, chairs, a vanity, a chest, and a bed big enough for two. Clothing lay scattered across the floor. A black coat, a dark blue tunic with the collar torn, brown breeches, a pair of black boots, and pale small clothes. He lifted the covers from his lap and realized he was naked. Through a haze, he recalled the prior evening. A game of dice, tankards of ale, shots of swoon, a scuffle, an aggressive woman whose hands soon found their way inside his clothing. With a yank, Jerrell pulled back the pile of blankets and found himself alone in the bed. "When did she leave?" he frowned. "I don't think I even got her name." The woman outside continued to pound on the door. "Landish!" Sherry was unlikely to leave until she'd had her say. He sighed in resignation. Holding a blanket to cover his midriff, Jerrell stood, and the room spun. He staggered to the door, his grip on the handle the only thing keeping him upright. After unlocking it, he eased the door open and peered around it. The woman in the corridor shoved the door wider. It struck Jerrell in the head and sent him sprawling. The blanket lay beside him, leaving his naked body completely exposed. A stoutly built woman stood in the doorway, her fists on her broad hips and a hint of gray in her auburn hair. She arched a brow while glaring down at him. "I see young women visit your room for reasons other than your sly tongue. While I can appreciate a pretty man as much as any woman, you may want to cover yourself." Jerrell grabbed the blanket and pulled it over his groin before stumbling to his feet. He sat on the bed, touching his tender forehead. "Good morning, Sherry." "Don't good morning me," she snapped. "I'll not allow you to charm me this time, even if you are naked." "Whatever this is about," he groaned. "You know what this is about," she shrieked and pointed down the corridor. "The fight you started last night will cost me far more than a few silvers. 2 tables, 6 chairs, and a few bar stools are broken beyond repair. The front window is shattered, and the floorboards are blood-stained." The floorboards were already blood-stained. "Not this badly." She crossed her arms, her plentiful chest bulging against them. "I want you out." Jerrell sighed. "Listen, I am sorry for what happened, but it was not my fault. Some men are not made to play dice and do not deal well with losing. I even offered to buy those sailors a drink, but they would not have it. Instead, they demanded their coin back, a request I denied." He shrugged. "Those men started the fight. I merely defended myself." "By knocking all 4 men unconscious?" "It is much harder for them to stab me if they are asleep. Would you prefer I use my blades on them? I guarantee you would have had more than a few blood spots to clean up." "If you'd killed them, you likely would have found yourself in the city jail." He shrugged again. "It wouldn't be the first time I visited a cell. Regardless, if you seek compensation for your damage, find the sailors. It was their fault, not mine." "It is mid-morning, Jerrell. Those sailors are likely on a ship that has already set sail and is well beyond my reach. You, however, sit here, naked and hungover in my inn." She held out her palm. "I want 5 gold pieces to cover the damages."